First, we can only work with ourselves, and we live in a dramatic universe. J.G. Bennett pointed this out. J.G. Bennett was a pupil of Gurdjieff, that without the drama of life, without the drama of an interior life, then life fails to have any meaning. And therefore, we have to realize our role as actors on a stage of our own making. We live in an environment of the creation, which is the garden of the Creator, which is very much dependent upon our own interaction with our environment. The ancient Greeks believed that the eyes emitted little rays that interacted with the rays of the sun, and some of the recent findings in quantum physics seems to take into account the interplay between the observer and the observed, not so much just in a manner which is to do with the context and perspective, but very physically to do with an interactivity between our very selves and our environment that goes on the photon level. And in fact, there is some theory that says we emit photons, and the photons that we receive are either annihilated or absorbed or reflected. At the moment, we live in a universe that has a constant amount of electrons, but has a variable amount of photons. But we are participants in the creation of our reality. The Qabalah gives us a blueprint through which we can understand how we compartmentalize various aspects of our perceptive faculties, whether it's the brain's ability to make ordered choice, or the brain's ability to have an emotional response to a particular set of circumstances. We know that these the logical aspects of the brain can be mapped onto Hod, the sphere on the tree of life, which is linked to Mercury, the planet Mercury, complexity and order. And we know our emotional responses, our hormonal glandular responses, may be linked to the Sapphira Netzach. Now, the common manner in which the individual on the Golden Dawn tradition approaches the tree of life is through symbolic ritual practice. That is, they will enact little plays in which they steep themselves with the paraphernalia of the ritual environment suited to a particular sphere. And this is all very well, and results magically are obtained. Now, it's my contention, and it's the contention of the order to which I belong, the FSR, that magic is above mere wonder working, is above mere pure mastery over one particular area of the creation or another. Magic is a process of self-realization, and it is very much a process rather than it's an activity. And the Qabalah of 50 Gates, rather than symbolically enacting the ritual virtues of any particular sphere, is really about experiencing and mapping one's own response to those elements of the creation that can be identified with the various Sephiroth upon the tree of life, and realizing these as cusps of experience. Wisdom is the residue of experience, and wisdom is our ultimate goal. Wisdom is the title of the second Sapphira, Chokhmah. Now, this is obviously a union, a vision of God face to face, and an ultimate self-realization, a realization of the inner divinity. But the Qabalah of 50 Gates teaches that the bottom sphere, Malkuth, the bottom Sapphira, Malkuth, the sovereignty of the creation, often referred to as the kingdom, contains a mini blueprint of 10 experiences which can be communed with, understood. The sphere above this, having undergone these 10 states of realization, then one transcends Malkuth in one's approach to the creation and deals with the 9 experiences of Yesod, and similarly the 8 experiences of Hod and the 7 experiences of Netzach, until we finally end up with 4 gates in Chesed, the 4th of the Sephiroth, where one is confronted with there are 4 gates to one palace reference from the Book of the Law, the Palace of Darth, union, knowledge in a biblical sense, in a semi-mystical sexual sense of uniting with the Godhead. And so the Qabalah of 50 Gates is about transcendence. It is, rather than pathworking, which is guided visualization, and then the response to that guided realization in visionary or revelatory terms. The Qabalah of 50 Gates is about awakening, and so one may have an experience within any of, say, the 6 experiences of Tifereth, which will provide an insight, a eureka moment, or a moment of deep inner knowledge and conviction of certainty. So it's certainty and not faith, as promised by the Book of the Law. And what I've done is I've mapped the various experiences, my personal experiences of the 50 gates, to the best ability that I've been able, and offered it really as a sign to myself that I've been able to define to this degree this level of achievement or of insight. And really, one does these things for oneself. But if the world finds it entertaining or diverting, and I've been told that the book is quite interesting from several lateral points of view, then I believe it deserves its place in the market. And so building a personal mythology is really about recognizing those things which are eternally valid to the self, finding their reference within a talismanic referencing system such as the Tree of Life, if only so that one can make sense of these things to oneself. But of course, the true measure of achievement in any particular area is the ability to be able to pass that knowledge on. And the way I've chosen to do this has been through the use of parable and allegory, and just hang on to my hat and hope that I carry most of the audience with me in some parts, some of the audience with me in other parts, and if the audience lose their grip on an understanding, at least their curiosity will be piqued so that they may return to the riddles and the parables that I've presented there. And so it's really a piece of work from the heart. But does that answer your question? Absolutely. Good.
So what are the upcoming projects from the FSR?
Well, at the moment, we have a variety of projects which are semi-public documents on sale through a variety of means. We put the odd piece of work out on eBay just to keep people attuned to what's going on, what's available here or there. I believe that we've now finished the CD series. We have a series of the standard pot boilers, the magical works which are necessary for the student in order to work the work of the order, and of course which will be available on a casual basis to any interested observer. They can email me or consult our website, which I believe you're going to reference on your page. Let me see, really, which leaves me personally time to complete my sequel to the 50 Gates, which is called Lucifer in Paradise, Qabalah of 32 Paths.
And what is the 32 paths going to? Is it more of an allegorical narrative about seeing the 22 paths and the 10 spheres as 32 paths altogether?
I think you could call it the adventures of the single electron, responsible for all of manifestation, But again, it will be told in an allegorical form with puzzles, riddles, and conundrums. But I'm so enchanted with the writing of it. I've taken a mythological approach. It is based in the Glastonbury Zodiac. It features the evolved spirit of Dion Fortune, and it's written in a novel form, which should interest and hopefully entertain, or at least divert Kabbalists. And if it doesn't leave them scratching their heads or smiling, then I guess it may leave them wanting to kick my ass, but as long as it has an effect.
All right. Well, that sounds good. And again, for other people to go, your website is uk.geocities.com/Golden Dawn Lodge, all one word.
That's right.
And that has links to all of the books and the CDs that we talked about that are publicly available. Is there an email address for people to get in touch with you? Do you have that?
Yes, anyone can email me on glastonburyin@yahoo.co.uk, and that enables me to pick my mail up from wherever I am.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate your time and the things that you're putting out. I've listened to a number of the CDs and read a number of the things from you, and I'm really happy that this material is coming out. So I want to encourage people to support you and check it out. Is the FSR accepting students at this time if somebody's interested?
Yes, well, they can email me. They can always find a link from our website to email the order. Generally, I think we accept twice a year. We haven't accepted for around a year so far due to changes in my personal circumstances, settling in Avalon, getting married, various things like this. But we are opening the gates sometime in the next 3 months to like-minded souls. We don't charge a lot of money. It's more about can we find a happy band to go to, onwards with, and together share and find the secrets of what we're all looking for, enlightenment and contentment. So if anyone wants to join an email, we won't induct them into any unheard of cult or anything like that. It's just about companionship upon the path and building a network of people with like minds.
Now, is there physical initiations, or can most of it be done via correspondence?
Well, I believe most of the work is always done by the individual, but it does help when that individual finds guidance, not only from people who've trodden the path before him or her, but from their fellow companions upon the path. So, because there's a great plethora of occultists that will, in the words of Frank Zappa, do anything for $50. We don't initiate over the telephone or offer weird, wacky rites in the absence of the individual. But we do periodically spring up and hold little initiation lodges in which quite a psychodrama is enacted in order to open the gates of the psyche of the individual. And periodically those who stick around longest and do their fair share of the work will be rewarded within the order by what blessings we are able to confer. But we don't, in the words of Frank Zappa, do anything for $50.
Again, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate it. 93.
Well, thank you, John. 93.
This brings us to the end of another Thelema Coast to Coast. Thanks again to all of the guests, David Shoemaker, Keith 418, and Steven Ashe. Appreciate you taking the time and being on the show. I will have links to all of the various things we discussed, 418 Lodge, and also to the websites of Steven Ashe. As I said earlier, I have a special treat for the outgoing song. On July 11th, Lon Milo Duquette released his White album, and these are 10 songs that Lon has recorded in acoustic, guitar, and singing. A lot of them are very amusing in their titles. Songs like I'll Bring You a Cold Drink, or I Love to Get Drunk in the Car, Monkey Meat, I've Never Met a Little Man I've Liked, Don't You Know I Know I'm Wrong, or Porno Queen. They all sound very amusing. The song that I have as the outgoing music is the 5th track off the album, called Sweet Babylon. Thanks to Lon for sending that in. And I will have a link to Lon's album on the Thelema Coast to Coast website and in the show notes. Also a reminder that Thelema Coast to Coast is broadcast on paganradio.net on Wednesday nights, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, and then the associated time difference with that. So if you know someone who doesn't have the ability to download and listen to MP3s either on their computer or with some kind of MP3 player, you can point them to paganradio.net and they can listen to it streaming from there. So thanks again for listening to the show. Show 31 will be coming out in a few weeks. Hope you stick around for that one. Love is the law, love under will.
People keep saying that Jesus is Lord. He'll take me in the rapture